Hey everybody, it's Randy Ray, and this is the Literate Texan. I'm at Driftwood Ranch today, drinking some coffee out of my bibliophile coffee mug here. And recently, Michael K. Vaughan and David Wylie have posted videos about the next 15 science fiction books they're going to read. And you know me, I'm going to jump on any bandwagon that sounds good to me. So, these are the next 15 science fiction books I'm planning to read. And these are in no particular order. I think I've got a nice little mix going on here. I'm going to start with the climate fiction books because those are on my mind right now. And I'm going to start with a real early climate fiction book that I have in the mass market paperback. This is called Heavy Weather by Bruce Sterling. And I'm going to read the back of it to you. I've started this before but never finished it. I don't know why I didn't finish it, but sometimes my mind wanders. But let's see here. They call themselves the Storm Troop, and they hack heavy weather. They chase the monster storms that twist erratically across the southwestern Badlands, laid to waste by the greenhouse effect. They survive on scrap, grunge. This must have been before grunge was music, huh? Free software, danger, and the charisma of their leader, the brilliant mathematician, Dr. Jerry Mulcahy. One wonders if he's related to Father Mulcahy on MASH, huh? Equipped with military surplus, quote, smart vehicles, networked laptop computers, and virtual reality gear, the Storm Troop is chasing the ultimate storm, the F6 tornado. Few outside the troop even believe that an F6 is possible. Yet something unmistakably monstrous is brewing in the wrecked atmosphere over America's Tornado Alley. But no one in the troop, not even its brilliant, driven leader, guesses the real nature of the F6 or the shadowy forces unleashed in its twisting fury. Not until it's too late. And so this looks like it was published, let's see, 1994. So yeah, I guess grunge music was a thing by 1994. Anyway, looks great. Love the cover. Don't know anything about tornado classifications, but I'm assuming that an F6 is a really big deal. So there's one of 15. Heavy Weather by Bruce Sterling. Number 2, Termination Shock by Neil Stephenson, which is a really thick hardcover. But this one looks interesting too. This is also about a near future world in which the greenhouse effect has inexorably resulted in a whirling dervish troposphere of superstorms, rising sea levels, global flooding, merciless heat waves, and virulent, deadly pandemics. One man, visionary billionaire restaurant chain magnate T.R. Schmidt, PhD, has a big idea for reversing global warming, a master plan perhaps described as elemental. But will it work? And just as important, what are the consequences for the planet and all of humanity should it be applied? Ranging from the Texas heartland to the Dutch royal palace in The Hague, from the snow-capped peaks of the Himalayas to the sun-baked Chihuahuan desert, Termination Shock brings together a disparate group of characters from different cultures and continents who grapple with the real-life repercussions of global warming. Ultimately, it asks the question, might the cure be worse than the disease? And boy, this is a thick one right here. This is good 700 pages. But, I like a good meaty novel that I can spend a little time with. So that was number 2, Termination Shock by Neil Stephenson. I believe those are the only 2 real climate fiction books on my list of the next 15. Number 3 on my list, and I don't know, I suppose I could count this as 3 books in one. It's the Illuminatus trilogy, which is a postmodern science fiction novel about the various secret organizations that actually have control. But these were written by Robert Shea and Robert Anton Wilson. Another set of books that I started a few years ago, back when I had the individual books, because this collects 3 books, The Eye in the Pyramid, The Golden Apple, and Leviathan. And I started The Eye in the Pyramid and never finished it. But for purposes of this, I'm just going to consider this one book. And because it's all arbitrary anyway, right? So, I don't know, most people are probably familiar with this, but it says here it's filled with sex and violence in and out of time and space. The three books of the Illuminatus trilogy are only partly works of the imagination. They tackle all the cover-ups of our time, from who really shot the Kennedys to why there's a pyramid on a $1 bill, and suggest a mind-blowing truth. I used to like to play the game. There's a card game that Steve Jackson Games came out with called Illuminati, and I used to love to play that. So it'll be fun to tackle that one again. So that's number 3. Number 4, The Stars Undying by Emery Robin, which I am absolutely sure is the beginning of a space opera series, but it's a nice, thick, chunky 500-page novel with a beautiful cover. Kirkus says it's an epic tale of love and conquest. So, I like my space opera, but I don't know anything about the author, Emery Robin, but there's a nice little picture in the back here, and it reads, Emery Robin is a paralegal, recovering Californian, and sometimes student of propaganda and art history living in New York City. And loyalty, legacy, betrayal. Princess Altagracia has lost everything. After a bloody civil war, her twin sister has claimed both the crown of their planet, Zayet, and the pearl of its prophecy, a computer that contains the immortal soul of Zayet's god. So when the interstellar empire of Chow turns its conquering eye towards Zayet, Gracia sees an opportunity. To regain her planet, Gracia places herself in the hands of the empire and its dangerous commander, Matthias Sarin. Well, those are going to be some tough names to remember, but it looks like it's going to be a fun read too. So this I'm counting as 3 books, even though it comes as one box set. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is number 5, okay? This is the Broken Earth trilogy, and there are 3 books inside the box set here. The 5th season, The Obelisk Gate, and The Stone Sky. And luckily they're numbered on the side, so I won't accidentally read them out of order, which, believe it or not, has happened before. Lots of cool praise on here. I believe this might have won a Hugo Award. Yeah, Hugo and Nebula Award winning. This is the way the world ends for the last time. NPR Books said the depth and breadth of Jamison's achievement with this trilogy is geologic, whatever that means. These books are a revolution in which I want to take part. So I don't know too much about this, but the box set sure looked nice. And, sometimes I just fall for the award winner things. I just do. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the 15 science fiction novels that I'm going to read next. Number 8 is Never Let Me Go by, and I don't know how to pronounce this. Someone will correct me in the comments. Kazuo Ishiguro. I know what this is about because I saw the movie and I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to reading the book. They actually got kind of small text. This might be a pretty thick read. It's only 288 pages, but the text is real small. But I'm looking forward to digging into this one. It seems like it might be a more literary work of science fiction than some of the ones I read. You probably noticed too by now. What is that? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. That's 8. But you probably noticed by now that these are all novels. I do have one collection of short stories I'm going to read here. It's called His Share of Glory, the complete short science fiction of C.M. Kornbluth. And I don't think I've read anything by C.M. Kornbluth. This came highly recommended to me, and I believe this book was either given to me or loaned to me by my friend Tom. But these are science fiction stories, I guess from the 40s and 50s, which is a great era for science fiction. I love reading stuff like that. This is a quote here from Alva Rogers. In the early 40s, Kornbluth became a living legend before he reached the age of 20. Heck, I did not become a living legend before I reached the age of 20. In the span of approximately 2 years, or at the most 2.5, he produced a phenomenal number of stories. It seemed like back in the day, that's kind of how it went. It's Sumerian September, and it's hard not to think of Robert E. Howard and his Conan stories because he put out a lot of them. But let's see here. How many stories are in here? Quite a few. It's a lovely edition. Oh man, there's a stack of stories in here. Look at this table of contents. That's a lot of stories. Smells good too. I love the smell of old books. Yeah, there's got to be 30 or 40 stories in there. So that'll be fun. And, okay, another Hugo Award winner. At one time, I was working on a project where I was going to read all of the Hugo Awards. I had to throw away that bookmark. Sorry for me slipping and sliding around. But this won the Hugo Award in 2020. It's called A Memory Called Empire by Arkady Martine. And Ann Leckie said it was an all-around brilliant space opera. I absolutely love it. And having written the ancillary books, Ancillary Justice and so on, Ann Leckie's an opinion that I respect. Martha Wells, who wrote the Murderbot books that I like so well, said, I very much enjoyed it and look forward to what Martine does next. But this does not have a long summary on the back. It says, Ambassador Mahit Zmar is far from home. Her predecessor has been murdered. Her one connection to home has gone silent. So I started this and didn't finish it. There was a while there when I was starting a number of books and not finishing them, and this was one of them. But anyway, did I show you the cover already? This looks really cool. I'm really excited about reading this. I understand this is the first in a series. These always make me nervous. There's a glossary in the back. 450 pages. Well, these science fiction books are big. That was number 10. Number 11, this looks good to me. I'm a big fan of Robert Heinlein, and this is called Revolt in 2100. I believe this was probably one of the Heinlein juveniles, which are my favorite Heinlein novels. I'd rather read a Heinlein juvenile, which I guess was young adult fiction before there was young adult fiction, but I'd rather read a Heinlein juvenile than most of his adult work. Definitely rather read a Heinlein juvenile than Farnham's Freehold. But here's the back of Revolt in 2100. And this just sounds pure damn fun. Battleground of the future. In the year AD 2100, an evil dictator known as the Prophet rules the entire United States. Not just some of it, the entire United States. Miracles for the ignorant masses are his stock in trade. He maintains control through the clever use of religion, advanced science, and psychology. And he is backed by a dedicated military clique. But in a world enslaved, sometimes even total power is not enough to stop. Revolt in 2100. You know, the first time I read the back of this, I thought about Donald Trump. And then, but let's face it, calling him an evil dictator is a little bit of an overstatement anyway. And he certainly isn't controlling things through advanced science and psychology, at least not knowingly. But anyway, looks like a fun, short read. That'll be a good one. Annihilation is next on my list by Jeff Vandermeer. This is a short one. And another one that I started and hadn't finished. Jeff Vandermeer is prolific, especially as an editor. So Area X has been cut off from the rest of the world for decades. Nature has reclaimed the last vestiges of human civilization. The first expedition returned with reports of a pristine Edenic landscape. The second expedition ended in mass suicide. The third in a hail of gunfire as its members turned on one another. Sounds like a Call of Cthulhu adventure, if you're into role-playing games. The members of the 11th expedition returned as shadows of their former selves, and within weeks, all had died of cancer. In Annihilation, the first volume of Jeff Vandermeer's Southern Reach trilogy, we joined the 12th expedition. Looks good. I didn't stop reading it because I was bored or because it was bad. I'm just weird and something caught my eye. I've got another Robert Heinlein juvenile here, Podkayne of Mars, which I haven't read, but I think this is one of the more famous ones that he did. She was born on Mars, but she wants to see more of the universe. Podkayne Fries, born and raised on Mars, has just one ambition: to earn her wings as a starship pilot and rise through the ranks to command deep space explorations. The opportunity to travel aboard the Tricorn on an interstellar journey to Venus and Earth in the company of her diplomat uncle is a dream come true. Well, I mean, anyway, this will be good. It'll be a lot of fun. Light reading. That was number 13. So number 14 is Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel. I have read The Glass Hotel by this author. Absolutely loved it. Still haven't read the book about the Shakespeare troupe, but Station 11, I think that one's called. But this looks great, and her writing is so great too. But Edwin St. Andrew is 18 years old when he crosses the Atlantic by steamship. Exiled from polite English society, following an ill-conceived diatribe at a dinner party. Yeah. It's like that guy who has his second whiskey, this guy here, or his fourth whiskey, and such. You know what? It's time to let them know what I really think. He enters the forest, spellbound by the beauty of the Canadian wilderness, and suddenly hear the notes of a violin echoing in an airship terminal, an experience that shocks him to his core. 2 centuries later, a famous writer named Olive Llewellyn is on a book tour. She's traveling all over Earth, but her home is the second moon colony, a place of white stone, spired towers, and artificial beauty. Within the text of Olive's best-selling pandemic novel lies a strange passage. A man plays his violin for spare change in the echoing corridor of an airship terminal as the trees of a forest rise around him. When Gaspery Roberts, a hotel detective in the black-skied night city, is hired to investigate an anomaly in the North American wilderness, he uncovers a series of lives upended. The exiled son of an earl driven to madness, a rider trapped far from home as a pandemic ravages Earth, and a childhood friend from the night city who, like Gaspery himself, has glimpsed the chance to do something extraordinary that will disrupt the timeline of the universe. A virtuoso performance that is as human and tender as it is intellectually playful. Sea of Tranquility is a novel of time travel and metaphysics that precisely captures the reality of our current moment. I almost feel like I should drop everything and read this right now. It sounds so good. So that was number 14. Number 15, this is the last on my list of the next 15 science fiction novels that I'm going to read. This is Snow Crash by Neal Stephenson, which most people are some science fiction fans, especially if you're a fan of cyberpunk, are probably familiar with. This was a book that was given to me by my friend Forrest in Dallas. He's an antiquarian bookseller. And let's see here. Only once in a great while does a writer come along who defies comparison. A writer so original, he redefines the way we look at the world. Neal Stephenson is such a writer, and Snow Crash is such a novel, weaving virtual reality, Sumerian myth, and just about everything in between with a cool, hip cyber sensibility to bring us the gigger thriller of the information age. Snow Crash. In reality, hero protagonist, what a name for a character, delivers pizza for Uncle Enzo's Cosa Nostra Pizza Incorporated, but in the metaverse, he's a warrior prince, plunging headlong into the enigma of a new computer virus that's striking down hackers everywhere. He races along the neon-lit streets on a search and destroy mission for the shadowy, virtual villain threatening to bring about Infocalypse. I don't know how you pronounce it, but it's a combination of information and apocalypse, obviously. Snow Crash is a mind-altering romp through a future America so bizarre, so outrageous, you'll recognize it immediately. I've heard mixed reviews about this book, but I guess it's a classic of cyberpunk, and it sounds like something I should read. And it's another one that I started and didn't finish. Almost all of these are like that. So I think Neal Stephenson has gone on to write a lot of climate fiction too. This is a fairly early novel in his career. This came out originally, it looks like, in 1992. So I'm looking forward to digging into this. That was kind of 92. Golly, I was still in college in 1992, so I don't know that the internet was really a big thing in 1992. You know, I was talking with a buddy of mine the other day, and people with computers, you know, in 1992, students with computers in their room were really unusual. They were usually really rich kids, and people thought it was weird that they had a computer in their room. And in fact, most of us had to use the computer lab at the university to create our documents, turn in our papers, and that sort of thing. So anyway, I appreciate the content idea from David Wylie and Michael K. Vaughan. This wasn't a tag, but I figure if they could both do this, then I could do it too. And maybe some other people have lists of the 15 science fiction novels they're going to read next. If you do, I'd love to hear about it. I will link down below to both Michael K. Vaughan's video and to David Wylie's video. And I'll be back soon with more videos. And thanks for watching. Stay hydrated, folks. It's still hot out there. We're going to have a high of about 105 degrees here in Texas today. And it's September. Summer's supposed to be over.